Hello, welcome to Michelle Sews Again. I'm Michelle. Today I'm going to talk to you about Project Dress-a-Girl, which is a really amazing cause that I'm hoping I can get you inspired to participate in. If that sounds interesting to you, then hang on. We're about to jump in. Okay, so you probably have already heard about Project Dress-a-Girl because so many vloggers are participating. But if you're not aware, I will tell you a little bit about it. I'm not going to go into super depth because I'm here to talk about a review of a pattern, but I encourage you to go and check out Mari from Mari Sews. Her video, she's got an intro video. I'm going to link it below. I'll put a card up here. But she goes into a lot of detail about the program and the support that it provides for impoverished girls around the world, including the US. And basically it is a project that makes dresses for girls that are born into impoverished communities and that could be at risk for human trafficking. And the organization goes in and educates the family on signs to look for to help them avoid their children being kidnapped into human trafficking. So it's a really amazing cause, and if you're not already participating, I hope that by the end of this video you'll consider it. So Mari has a blog, and I'm going to link her blog below because she's got the whole calendar of all the YouTube sewing vloggers that are participating and what their topic will be for their video. So I encourage you to go and check that out and put on your calendar so that you can watch them all. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to review the pattern that I have made. I've made 2 dresses so far. I do plan to make more, but this is where I am right now. So I have made the pattern New Look N6611. You can see it's a really cute little A-line shift dress. It's got 3 different views. It's got the sleeveless view, short sleeve, and long sleeve. And what's fun about this is all these little appliques and pockets, all of those are pattern pieces that are in the pattern packet. So it's not just recommending that, you know, if you wanted to figure out how to applique, then come up with it on your own. They actually have the pattern pieces in here. And I ended up using the heart piece from this dress as pockets on my 2 dresses. All right, so as you can see, it's a very simple pattern. It's an A-line. It has, I think, 4 pattern pieces for the view that I made. It's got a front piece that you cut on the fold. It's got 2 back pieces that are sewn up the center back, and it's got a front placket and a back a front facing and a back facing. So my first version I made almost according to the directions. So I have, you know, my front piece. I've got the back is on, you know, 2 pieces. I do regret the fact that I didn't take advantage and put those stripes going in opposite directions, but missed opportunity, right? I did do the facing, so I finished the facings with my serger, and it's a, sorry, there are 3 facing pieces because the back has this keyhole opening. So there's a left back and a right back facing. So what I changed about this was instead of using, because the pattern calls for a button and loop closure, they are asking for you not to use closures like buttons and zippers. So what I did was I changed out the button and loop for a ribbon. I do still need to change this ribbon out because we have since been told that grosgrain ribbon is probably not the best option because it doesn't stay tied very well, which is true. So I'm going to change this out for some bias tape that I will probably make out of some extra fabric that I use for the pockets. So this was my first version. For the pockets, I used a tutorial that Mari did on her channel, and I will link that below. She has a tutorial on how to make pockets, both the heart shape that I've made and a rounded square, if that makes sense. However, so I used her tutorial, but I did happen to have a heart-shaped pattern piece, so I didn't have to design the heart myself. So yeah, and I just used some bias binding for the armholes that I had already in my stash. I also used that on the hem, just because I felt like it. I will tell you, the only place that I struggled with this pattern, I mean, it was super simple to put together. The only place that I struggled with it was the armholes, and it's only because my, you know, the front piece that comes off of my sewing machine that makes room for a sleeve hole is still too big for this itty bitty armhole. So I had to do it without wrapping it around my machine, and it was tight, it was difficult. So those of you that sew kids clothes on all the time, like, power to you, man. Anyway, so I think it came out really cute, and I think the pattern is super easy. I did modify the pattern for my second make to make it easier for myself. And I think it still came out cute. So for the second version, I used some leftover tie-dye fabric that I had after making my reversible Molly jacket. And instead of using the facings, I just did bias binding around the neck and carried it through the back and made that the tie. And instead of using the facings for the keyhole back, I just serged the raw edges, and then I top stitched the seams down on either side of the seam so that they wouldn't flip open. And then I did bias binding around the armholes, which again was very tight. And I just did a turn under hem. I didn't use bias binding for the hem this time. I love this dress. I think that it came out really cute. I did do the heart-shaped pockets again. However, for this one, I flipped the humps for the heart down and tacked them down on the sides. And then I used, what do you call the fusible interfacing that's double-sided. I used that to hold the shape down. And that was just a happy accident because one of the pockets, I didn't sew up the side far enough, so the heart was like gaping open. I didn't want to like re-stitch over the line and just make that look messy. So instead I flipped it over and I tucked it down, and I actually think it came out really cute. So I'm happy with the way that that turned out. I did like work on pattern placement. I wanted to make sure that this design was like centered, and then I've got these flower looking shapes on the back that I think are really cute. So yeah, I'm happy with both versions. They're slightly different. This one was definitely a little bit easier for me using the bias. As I've mentioned before, I'm team bias, I'm not team facing. And so it was a really quick sew. I think I put this together, I cut it out and sewed it all within I'd say 2.5 hours. I did 2 hours of it on one of the Zoom calls that Madi has scheduled for the Project Dress-a-Girl program. We had the first one this past weekend, and I cut out and sewed almost all of it during that 2-hour Zoom call. And then I think all I had left to do was put the bias binding on the armholes, and that took me about half an hour maybe, just because the armholes are so small and fiddly. So it's a super quick sew, and if you don't already have a pattern in mind, then the New Look N6611 is a good one to give a try. I am also going to try one of the free patterns that Sam from Frugalissima had recommended. I will pop a picture of the one that I have downloaded up here so that you can see which one I'm planning on doing. I'll link to Sam's channel below, but she did a whole video on free little girl dress patterns that can be used for this project. And I also used Madi's tutorial for the bias binding. So I made the bias binding out of my tie-dye for this. And I used Madi's pocket tutorial. So I will link all of those videos down below as well. And Elisa from Thoughtful Creativity has designed a dress specifically for this project, which I thought was amazing. And I'm gonna give her pattern a try as well. So I'll link her down below. So I would love to know, have you already made this dress? Are you participating in Project Dress a Girl? I would love to know. If you are participating, then make sure that when you post your photograph on Instagram that you use hashtag Project Dress a Girl and you tag Madi at Madi Sews for Curves. That's the way that she's going to know that you've participated, and she's going to do a roundup at the end of September so that she can show off all the lovely makes that everybody has done, and it's just going to be a real like feel good kind of a moment. So thank you so much for joining me. Wherever you are, I hope the weather is amazing, and I hope that you're able to get some sewing in. Bye.